Happy day, fantastic people. I hope you're having a wonderful start to your day. Yesterday we discussed the International Criminal Court's decision, the guilty judgment regarding Donald Trump, who is now a wanted man with a $10,000 reward on his back, along with many leaders within the Roman Catholic Church. After all, it is their Ninth Circle cult that was under investigation. We also had the CEO of Pfizer. He's also wanted by the International Criminal Court and their Sheriff's Department. Oh boy, huh? What a crazy world we live in. We know that Biden and Harris trafficked hundreds of thousands of alien children in their 4 years. Prior to them, it was Obama and the Clintons and the Bushes, right? Reagan, likely Carter. I don't know how far back it goes. I think it's safe to assume Prescott Bush was involved in trafficking, given that his son is known as the greatest drug lord of all time, and also involved in crimes against children. I believe it was Operation Brownstone. In a previous video, I went into these NGOs that were helping the Biden administration traffic children. I guarantee you they didn't just start under the Biden administration. The one organization, ECDC, they were the first resettlement agency located in Washington, D.C. ECDC not only gets funding from the government, from us. Yes, our taxpayers are going to trafficking children, absolutely. ECDC not only gets its funding from the government, but also from other agencies, like the Welcome Fund. And if you look into the Welcome Fund, you'll see some honorary co-chairs include the likes of the Clintons, the Obamas, the Bushes, and the Carters. And if you look into who funds the Welcome Fund, you'll see it's George Soros, who's also associated with this Ninth Circle cult. So, if you're wondering why Trump hasn't done anything to bring George Soros to justice, now you know why. Child rape, torture, and sacrificing cult. So I think it's really, really important for all of us not only to be aware of this information, but to also know how to protect ourselves. Because with closed borders, without hundreds of thousands of unaccompanied alien children, UACs is what the government calls them, without open borders and access to all these immigrant children, where do you think they're going to turn? I think we're going to see an uptick through CPS and these other government agencies who are known child traffickers. And if you didn't know this, well, you need to, because they don't only take children away from neglectful parents. They take children away from anybody that they possibly can. It's all about opportunity for criminals. It's all about opportunity. That's why the Clintons created that Family Act in the 90s that expedited the foster care process. They fast-tracked the kidnapping of children, essentially is what the Clintons did. So it's not just important for us to be aware of this information, but we need to know how to protect our own children from CPS and these government agencies. And like I said, they're not just taking children from neglectful or abusive parents. They're taking them wherever and whenever they can. And I believe single parents are especially at risk. So we need to know how to protect our kids from the government as well. So I want to show you this video of a gentleman who's being harassed by CPS and local law enforcement, because you've got to understand that a lot of the police are involved in this as well. Judges too. This is widespread. So I want you to watch this video and just get an idea of how you can protect yourselves. Like, for example, get yourself one of these doorbell cams with two-way audio. Never open your door to these people. Never. Never let them in your home without a warrant.
This is by far one of the best CPS refusals you'll ever see. On April 2nd, 2025, this guy was chilling at his home when CPS and cops showed up at his doorstep. They came to check on his daughter Roxana because of a fake call, and the one making this fake call is a CIA woman who has an ongoing issue with this guy. Now she's harassing him by sometimes filing fake charges and sending police by making fake calls. And this time, her target is this guy's children, and CPS and police are dancing to her tune. But the way this guy handled them is absolutely mind-blowing. It was so satisfying that you'd want to see him dismantling them again.
Yeah, this is Farzine. How may I help you?
Mr. Farzine, can you please come to the door? This is Family Services.
What is this about?
If you could please come to the door.
I'd rather just talk to you over the intercom.
Sir, this is the sheriff's office. We need you to come to the door and speak to you, please.
Do you have a warrant?
No, there's no warrant, but we'd like to speak to you.
Well, this is harassment, because I wouldn't like to speak to you. Can I understand the reason for your presence at my home?
We'd like to check on your daughter.
You want to make checks on my daughter?
We'd like to check on her, yes.
Which one?
Your baby, Roxana.
What gives you the right to come to my home and harass me about my child? What makes you feel as though you are entitled to come to my home under color of law, armed to the teeth, ask to see my child? What gives you that right? I want to inform you that you are violating my constitutional rights by being here. This is harassment, and I will prosecute. I will to the fullest extent that I can. I've already talked to Emily's mother. She, I believe, spoke to you, and she forwarded your information to me. And there's a defamation suit coming. I don't know who has been filing these charges, but a lot of false charges have been coming down. I believe it's Amanda McIntosh now. She also filed an assault charge that was null prost for lack of evidence. And there's a long history back there. And I don't think you've searched that. So what is your business being here, and why are you here?
As I said, I would like to speak with you, and I would like to check on your daughter.
I'm speaking to you now.
I would like to speak with you in person.
I would like to have a record of it and speak to you through my camera.
I have my body cam after it, sir. We're recording it.
I don't trust the law, and I don't trust the officers of the law. You have proven to be not on my side. So I have my own cameras, and I will record it from where I'm safe behind my home. If you would like to break into my home, then feel free to do so.
Okay, we're not going to do that. We're going to have a...
I have cameras throughout my home and my property. This is harassment, and it will go to my lawyer. And there will be other steps that are taken after this.
Mr. Farzine, are you saying that you will not bring your daughter to the door?
I'm saying you have no right to be on my property. You have brought law enforcement onto my property. You don't have a warrant. This is an illegal... You're coming here to create trouble for me. You think I will bring my child out to you for scrutiny? I know my rights, ma'am. So if you'd like to obtain a warrant and come back here and arrest me for some crime that you suspect me of, I would be happy to go that route with you. But I don't trust you, and I don't trust that law enforcement that has badges and guns to do the right thing. You're on my property illegally, by the way, and I wish you off of it. Under color of law, you're coming here to harass me and my family because of a complaint of a person that has been known to harass me and create false and fictitious charges and criminal mischief against me and use and weaponize law enforcement. I mean, this is taxpayer dollars. Your agency, the other agency, this is government abuse by a CIA agent. She's going to be in trouble for this too. And so will all of you. I promise. There is a reckoning. It's going to come. It's going to be law. It's going to be all legal. It's all going to be legitimate. That's the only reckoning I'm talking about. Law and legal.
Never worry about your phone running out of battery. Carry charging cables.
Good afternoon, Kelly, or good evening, Kelly Hendricks.
I'm Miss Mancini. I'm here. I have 2 court orders for removal for Melanie and Roxana. If you would please come to the door so I can give you your orders.
There's a removal order?
Yes, I have 2 signed removal orders, which I will easily do when you come to the front door, stating that.
No way! You have an order to remove my children from my home?
Yes, I do.
Can I have my lawyer speak with you, please?
No, I'm not able to speak with your lawyer right now.
No,
Mr. Mancini, I cannot speak with your lawyer.
Hello, legal or signed by a magistrate?
You should come to the door so I can speak with you. I've emailed you the 2 removals.
No, I've texted you and I've called you, and you said you were going to come last night and you didn't. You haven't responded back to me. As a matter of fact, you're misrepresenting it, and I have civil rights attorneys right now that are going to contact you.
Okay, Mr. Mancini, you can send a copy of the 2 removals. They're in your email.
My lawyer is calling me right now. Hold on a second. Hello, my lawyer is trying to call you right now. Can you please answer his call? My lawyer has been trying to call you right now, and do you have a lawful order from a magistrate?
Yes, can you please open the
Listen,
door?
you're a very shady person, and I'm going to have you in prison for violating my rights if that's what you're doing here. Do you have a lawful order from a magistrate? Because if you did, you could have busted down my door already, and I'm not inclined to open the door to you. I will sue you to the fullest extent of the law. I want you to know that.
That's fine, Mr. Mancini. Can you open the door?
No, I can't. Can you show me the order?
Yes. If you would check your email, those orders have been sent to you.
Which email? Which email?
The one that is with the school.
Which email?
Farzan Yancini at fastdesk.com.
Hello, you sent the removal orders 3 minutes ago. I just forwarded them to my lawyer. There hasn't been a hearing, so you can't take my children right now. I will not open the door to you. We're going to follow this up with suit against you and family services. This is an illegal tactic and a deep violation of my civil rights. I already have the video evidence that I needed, and I was already seeking civil rights litigation. This is just going to be another one on top of it. There has not been a hearing. There is no removal order. This is something that you have submitted to the court, and you just sent it to me 3 minutes ago. I have the timestamp on when you sent it to me, and you sent it to my work email, not the email I have on file with the school, which is my Gmail. You're a liar. It's obvious from your demeanor. It's obvious from your demeanor that you are ill-intended. Also, you're shifty. You're shady. You're self-soothing with your hand, and I don't trust you. I will not open the door. You're free to break down the door and break and enter my property, and what happens after that will just be what happens after that. Feel free to do so. You're not answering my lawyer. You said you were going to stop by yesterday. You're a liar. You said that you would submit a Freedom of Information Act request telling me what's going on right now. Instead, you show up with these false orders. And there's going to be a deeper investigation going on. Believe me, your problem is that I have the money to fight this. Your problem is that I have the civil rights attorneys to bring you to justice. You're corrupt as As Get off my property. You're trespassing on my property. Get off my property right now. Get off my property right now. You evil human being. You violent, evil human being. I'm going to sue all of you and Loudoun County. You will see it. I will sue all of you officers, every single one of you.
Yeah, and it's important to note that she had police officers with her both times. So this is how dirty cops are. So we need to be aware. We need to stay vigilant. And like I said, never let these people into your home. Tell them to get off your property, just like this gentleman did. Good for him. I want to share with you a story about a North Carolina man. He was a whistleblower. I also have a video from a judge who became a whistleblower and a CPS employee as well. But first I want to read this article here. Native American CPS whistleblower goes missing in North Carolina. Daughter on the run. Whistleblower's daughter is terrorized, detained, and kidnapped. The following two videos recorded the scene on the night of April 14th, 2014. This has been going on for a long time, I'm telling you. Much longer, way before 2014. When Cheyenne and Randy Davis were followed for at least a mile by law enforcement, pulled over and brutally separated by Sampson County deputies. No reasons were given for the stop and subsequent arrest of Randy, nor the abduction of his daughter, Cheyenne. The first video shows the initial stop.
Do you have a, let me see your badge. I want to make sure you're an officer.
You see patrol car here, sir?
No, there's one pulling people over and hurting them. I want to see your badge and your number and your name.
I don't have a badge. It's license registration, sir.
I'm leaving. You're not.
Sir, license registration.
No. You either show me your license and
badge right there.
Give me the number.
I have a number, sir. What I have numbers here.
Well, why are you sitting there like you don't have a badge?
Where's right here? My badge. So you give me a license registration.
Have I done something wrong?
License
why am I
registration.
being pulled over? I have a right to ask.
I'll put that when I get your license registration, sir.
There's my license and registration. Now, why am I being pulled over?
But I was told to.
Excuse me?
Because he was told to by whom?
Because he was told to.
The second video shows officers assaulting and forcibly removing Cheyenne from the car and away from her father. Another adult female, along with her son, were also in the vehicle, and the officers removed her child also. There was apparently no court order from a judge to take the children into custody. The officers were simply following directions from CPS social workers. This is what we refer to as legal kidnapping in the United States today. Warning, this second video contains graphic audio and visual materials which may not be suitable for some viewers.
No, it's in my eyes. That's what's bothering me.
No rights. Wow.
Grab my flash.
Watchdog Wire, WRL-TV.
Do you have a problem with me using my rights?
Yeah, we're going to say he won't say it. He won't say it. I'm not going to ask
Well, you were supposed to.
I'm not going to ask you a question. I ain't got to. That's only if I'm interrogating you. I'm not. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can be and may be used against you as evidence against you in court. You may have a right to talk to a lawyer before questioning and to have a lawyer with you while you're being questioned. If you cannot, if you want a lawyer before or during questioning but cannot afford to hire a lawyer, won't be appointed to represent you at no cost before any question.
WatchdogWire.com, North Carolina.
That's where it's going.
That's good. Here, pull that up.
I'll talk to Katie Pavlich later.
TV, Kurt Brown.
And Katie Pavlich will be talked to later. Do not touch me. Do not touch me. Get your hands off me! Get off me! Do not touch me! Get off! Do not touch me again!
Come on.
No!
Come on.
Why are you hurting that child like that? Why are you hurting that child? Why are you hurting that child?
Do not touch me!
Stop hurting that child! child. Stop hurting that child. Leave her alone. Leave her alone. Leave her alone. Leave her alone. Why are you assaulting her? 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 Leave her alone. Leave her alone. You're assaulting her. You're assaulting her. You're assaulting her. They're assaulting her. They're assaulting her. They're assaulting her. Let her go. Let her go. Quit assaulting her. You're kidnapping the child. You're kidnapping her. You are kidnapping her. You are hurting her. You are hurting her and kidnapping her. You are kidnapping a child. A 15-year-old child. You are kidnapping her. You are assaulting her. You are hurting her. You are hurting that child. Let her go. Let her go. Let her go. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. Come on, Matthew. Matthew, it's gonna be fine. Come on, Matthew. Why are you taking these children? These children don't want to go. These children have no problem. There's been no order. There's been no law. Why are you doing this? Miss Moretta. Why are you doing this? No, Miss Moretta, nothing. I don't work for social services right now. You are kidnapping my child, okay? There is no law. There is no order. There is no court that said I had to give up my child to you people, and now you're taking him. Tell me, do you have an order to take my child?
Yes, we do.
You do? Can I see this order signed by a judge? Is there an order signed by a judge? You say you have an order signed by a judge, but you're not bringing it to me. So in that case, Department of Social Services is lying and is taking the children. You're stealing the children. You're assaulting the children. You're assaulting the children. You're assaulting the children. Let him go. Leave him alone. Let him go. Let my son go.
Cheyenne was placed back into foster care where she had previously reported abuse at the hands of her alleged caretakers. Randy ended up in jail without being charged, and although the judge authorized his release, the Sampson County Sheriff decided that Randy would be detained further after his daughter, whom he had not seen since that night, escaped from her foster home. And statistics show us the increased risk of injury, abuse, and death amongst foster children. The sheriff allegedly decided that Randy knew Cheyenne's whereabouts and that he could hold him until he disclosed her location. Biological parents viewed as red tape. When CPS takes a child, the parents no longer have a right to determine who, how, or with what their child will be treated, or if the treatment is actually necessary in the case of medical kidnappings, leaving medical researchers an open opportunity to push experimental drugs into the hospitals and clinics without objection. These children are often given experimental drugs in adult dosages, and a lot of the drugs are not recommended for children under the age of 18 years. Drug companies can get around parental red tape by serving up these cocktails to state wards whether medical treatment is actually needed or not. I'm not saying that every CPS agency and employee is actually in the business of child trafficking, but I'm also saying that they're not. For all we know, CPS has always been a criminal organization. If you look into their history across the nation and how many children have died because of inaction or negligence of CPS, it really does make you wonder if they're actually in the business of protecting children or not. And like I said, for all we know, these organizations were created mainly for the purposes of trafficking, kidnapping children.
I've got one video I'm going to play. It's very short.
less than 2 minutes, I think. And one of the things that she brought up was that Yale is involved in human trafficking. If Yale's doing it, you know some of the other universities and colleges are involved in that as well. We're gonna talk a little bit.
I want to interject just this one time. Harvard has these eating clubs. They have all these restaurants on campus. When I read about this, and I know this is dark, but we need to be honest about what is going on, because they're not just trafficking kids to rape them, sacrifice them. They're also eating them. They're harvesting their organs as well. And when I learned about Yale, and I already knew about Harvard, I know how corrupt Harvard is. I've covered Harvard in so many videos. They're involved in so many scandals. And when I saw that they have these eating clubs, I'm just going to leave it at that.
Wolf talking about Yale and human trafficking. Take a listen.
And astonishingly, the faculty and the staff at Yale, which I assume includes the administration, are not being mandated to take the bivalent booster. So just the students, just the undergraduates are being forced to do this in order simply to resume their education.
How could that be? How could that be? How could that possibly be, ma'am?
Well, I said in my speech that I hadn't looked for the money trail for Yale, but from having seen the money trail in all these other major institutions that have been taken over and co-opted in our country, and seeing these billions flowing from HHS to subvert our media, to subvert our influencers, to subvert trusted messengers, religious organizations, I was sure we would find money behind this stunning, shocking, unlawful coercion playing out on the bodies of students, helpless students. And by the way, it's not like they're getting their $60,000 tuition money back if they refuse to take the bivalent booster. They'll just be sent home and another lucrative student will be slotted into their place. So it's straight up fraud, as well as other crimes I'm going to get to. But we did, the numbers were brought to me by the world's best intel guy, Brian O'Shea, both from the TAGGS site, which is a U.S. government funding tracking site for government grants, and also from Yale's own websites and the Yale Daily News. And basically Yale's engaging in human trafficking. And what I mean is they're accepting sums of money that are literally astonishing, like literally larger than some countries' gross domestic product.
Hang on, we're gonna take a short break.
Okay, so I'm going to go on to CPS, but I just wanted to throw that in there for now, for parents with kids in college. Just be very careful. Make sure that you're preparing your children for the real world. You decide what you want to inform them about and how deep you want to get involved in this. But I just thought that might be helpful for parents of older children as well. So let's get into the CPS now.
We probably could fill up a whole show with somebody from the inside. You work in CPS in New York City, and you shared a lot of things of what's going on there. There's several questions that we want to talk about this morning. And the first one I want to do is I want to ask you, how is the because we just did, our Wednesday show is about what we call education. It's really indoctrination. We're talking about public schools. They're indoctrination centers. What is the effect of CPS and the public schools? Are they working hand in hand to traffic children, to do other things, to obtain money, whatever else? I want to throw that out at you and see what you've seen as somebody who's been on the inside for 25 years, I think you said?
25 years.
Okay.
What we have to understand is the trafficking of children. We have to understand the why of the trafficking of children. From working on the inside and having, the ability to work with other agencies, police department, whenever there's some kind of investigation, the schools, the hospitals, you have to understand that this is a very wide and vast network of child trafficking that is taking place. Yes, the school are in collusion, the police department, any agency that is connected to the child welfare system, the health and human resources, which is the major umbrella of the child welfare system. All of that is interconnected, intertwined, and is all part of this whole trafficking machinery of children. We have to understand that the why of taking children is just not, a couple of corrupt people that are doing some very mean things. We're talking about an industry. We're talking about an empire. We're talking about a shadow government headed up by Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama. So what we're seeing face-wide in terms of the Biden administration, we're just seeing the front guy. He's just a sitting duck. That government behind him is in charge of all the child trafficking that is going across the board in agencies. When we look at an agency, or let's say Balenciaga, that was just exposed for child sexual abuse, child ritual abuse, based on their ads. Now, when I look at the media, a lot of them are saying this is happening because they're doing it for profit. It's not so much for profit. Also, they're saying to us, the good people, in your face, we are the Satanists, we are the cannibals, we are the pedophiles, we are traumatizing your children, we're stealing your children, we're abusing your children. And this is just an affront way of saying,
you're not a child, you're a man. So stop wearing so many layers to go outside and get the Bears Pocket Tactical mic.
Yes, this is who we are and this is what we're doing. And so even in my the program last week, when I talk about it is the people that is going to have to take a stand, this is what we saw happening with Balenciaga. People are coming forward. Mothers are protesting. They're burning their products. To me, I'm just saying the house of Balenciaga is now on fire because now there is a backlash of, the people, voices that are being heard. Yes, the school is involved. I've had children in a foster home that could have been discharged, except the school, write letters about the child's behavior and, question whether the children were ready to go back home. They need treatment. And so this is a way of delaying that whole process. The whole mental health piece again. I've seen mental health is not a reason to keep anybody's child in foster care.
I agree. Yep.
Mental health is never and has been a reason, and that's been the law in the family court. It is never a reason for a child not to be returned to the parent, and in some case, not to be removed from the parent. But what we are seeing now is a trend where mental health is also now being weaponized against parents in an effort to take these children. And so when we look at it, we're talking about, yes, this is a profit-making machine, but more so than ever, we have to understand this is a loose, I'm not sure if your audience is familiar with Jessie Zaboda, but she talks about the Luciferian Brotherhood, being trained in that. Part of that is satanic ritual sacrifice, satanic ritual abuse of children. The children has to come from somewhere. Now, pre-Hillary, they had breeders in the Luciferian Brotherhood. And these breeders were women who have children for the sole purpose of sacrificing their babies and their children. I listened to Tim Taylor's program last week, and I was horrified at what I was hearing, what happened to him. Believable, yes, but horrified that this is happening to this level. And so when we look at it, we're talking about, yes, this is a profit-making machine, but more so than ever, we have to understand this is a loose, I'm not sure if your audience is familiar with Jessie Zaboda, but she talks about the Luciferian Brotherhood, being trained in that. Part of that is satanic ritual sacrifice, satanic ritual abuse of children. The children has to come from somewhere. Now, pre-Hillary, they had breeders in the Luciferian Brotherhood. And these breeders were women who have children for the sole purpose of sacrificing their babies and their children. I listened to Tim Taylor's program last week, and I was horrified at what I was hearing, what happened to him. Believable, yes, but horrified that this is happening to this level. And so when he talked about the children's mother and her mother being a KGB terrorist or abuser of whatever, it all goes back to the bloodline of these children. And this system believing that these two boys belong to them based on that Luciferian bloodline. And so when we talk about the hospitals, there is something that's called EPIC, which is straight across the board, not just nationally, but globally. And even the blood work of children are being taken. And once the Luciferians and once the Brotherhood go into the blood type and the genealogy and the ancestry to find out who these children are, they want the brightest and they want the best. And these are the children that they often go after in the child welfare system. And once they take these children, they begin to categorize them. The babies are used for one purpose. The toddlers are used for another purpose. The middle-aged children are used for another purpose. And the older children are using for another. But it all goes back to this satanic ritual abuse, sacrifice, and killing of children. You could go on Ted Gunderson's website to get more information about that, because he was involved in the FBI. He was entrenched in the middle of that. He exposed all of that. The CIA, how the CIA is involved in trafficking and sacrificial ritual abuse and sacrifice of children, how the FBI is involved in it, how the Department of Justice is involved in it. Hospitals, yes, very much involved in it. The school system, public education, yes, very involved in it. This is why the FBI is now criminalizing parents. And Garland Merrick.
Can you hold that thought just a second? I want people to get that part right there. This is why they're not criminalizing parents. They don't bring charges against them. They take them through administrative law. Same stuff that they're claiming when you go through the airport and they rummage through your stuff. They violate the Fourth Amendment all over the place, the Fifth Amendment in some cases, and they're doing all that. Can you explain to people what goes on? Just real quickly for clarification, what goes on in CPS when parents are found, and you can tell me the term, they may use something different up there. I thought they used affirmative down here. That was their term for guilty, but they can't say guilty because they're not charging you criminally. So they manipulate you through this quote unquote administrative law. It's not real law. It works under the color of law. Can you explain to them what happens to a parent and why they're not criminally charged?
Well, criminal cases go to criminal court. Family court cases go to family court. So some of the family court cases, based on the level of what the parents are being charged with or someone else, then the cases will run concurrent, criminal and family court. In the case of trying to legally take these children, everyone becomes complicit in that case. Tim talks about charges, there are charges being brought against parent that does not even exist, except in the report of a CPS worker, because everyone is complicit on it. Now you have parents kicking, screaming, crying, that, they're innocent. And many of them have been innocent and they are innocent. But because of the complicit nature of the corruption of what's taking place with legally taking these children, everyone becomes part of the cover-up. Everyone involved in the court system of the family court even up to the appellate or even the Supreme Court level, are complicit in the crime and the criminal activity of taking children once they come into the system.
Okay, so just to be clear, what's happening is they don't bring criminal charges because then that opens it up to peer review, so to speak, through a jury. It opens it up to the media to actually see and hear and go and investigate and things of that nature. Although I'm sure a lot of that, if they were to even bring it, a lot of it would be sort of sealed because it's dealing with underage children. But the fact of the matter is they want to keep it sort of within the family, and I'm not saying that as a pun. They want to keep it in the family so that they can control the narrative, so they can do all that kind of stuff, and they can make it much easier to take those kids. Am I missing something there?
Yeah, I mean, the family court operates different from criminal court. If you want to see a case open, you have to go to, in my state, is Albany, right? You have to request the hearing and everything from Albany to reopen the case. And that can only be requested by family or the pertinent parties in the case. So it's not as public in the public domain as it might be in a criminal court. You can go up online and bring up a lot of criminal cases by going into, New York courts, or their dockets there, online for a lot of cases in whether civil court, family court. Cases are not that open or that easily accessible without request. And so, yes, talking about, that's a great way of saying, let's keep it within the family. And so a lot of times, this is how family court get away with a lot of criminal activities. This is how they get away with a lot of criminal atrocities. I know for a fact that records are scrubbed. I know for a fact that documents are removed, because it has happened in my own case. Documents that could help the parent is removed from when I hand over my documents for the mother's trial, right? My supervisor went in and she removed documents. Emails were removed. My emails were scrubbed. With dialogue or correspondence, maybe it was something favorable to the mother to say, yes.
You're not a child, you're a man. So stop wearing so many layers to go outside and get the bare.
To the attorney, the mother did this, the mother completed that. Those emails are removed, right? So it will have a judgment against the mother once that hearing comes up in family court. I know because it happened on my cases. And this is something that I personally have been very vocal about, very pushback about. There was an incident where, I did a report. My supervisor, who was the go-to supervisor for trafficking children, gave me specific orders that no court case, no report should be submitted without her review. Prior to that, other agency was fine. And so I did that, but she never gave those reports back to me until maybe 10 minutes before I entered the courtroom. And I remember there was a specific case, the same case that they wanted this child. And so by the time that report was sent to me, it was totally rewritten by her against the mother. Wow. And so what happened is the mother's attorney came to me and said, Miss Elliott, this is not a court report. This is a personal attack on my client for her child not to be returned to her. And I'm getting ready to put you on the stand. And so I was brought on the stand because the mother had did some things that she was supposed to do, but my supervisor removed all of that out of the report. And so I was brought to the stand. And the most I could say is that under my supervisor's review, she had interaction with the client, and I could not respond to what was in the report because she had written in her interaction with the mother. And so that's the route I had to take. And then eventually they took me off the bench. But again, this was a report that was being rigged to take the children from this mother. And so this is a type of thing that goes on in family court, that goes on with CPS, and goes on within the system. And these individuals, they're getting paid. They're getting paid. I was listening to the piece there about Yale and human trafficking. It's happening also in colleges. Yale is where the Bushes come from, Skull and Bones. That's where it started. That's a satanic order there at Yale. So anywhere you find this satanic brotherhood in child welfare, I would call it the satanic Luciferian sisterhood, because that's exactly what it is. And it is set up that way. And they are a network. Individuals like me, Christ-loving, born-again believer, I don't have it easy in my profession to even stay there this long.
Sure.
And I know even now there is a push to have me forced out. So I constantly have to keep beating them at their game. I stayed in because I wanted to see how far, how wide, and how deep, and how far this atrocity, criminalization of stealing children go. And so I am convinced today more than ever, as one of my colleagues says, and I've been offered to be a supervisor, I would never be a supervisor in child welfare, because it is the same as selling your soul to the devil. And that's exactly what it is. It is a corrupt system of a sisterhood that binds together in criminal activities that cover their crimes against family, against mothers, against children. And our children, we're talking about children being safe in the hand of parents. Our children are not safe in the child welfare system.
That's true. That's exactly true. They are not safe there. Okay, so that's basically covering a lot of where education's got working hand in glove with the CPS and with the state there. What about churches? Now you had previously worked for, what was it, Catholic Guardian or
Catholic
something?
Guardian.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
So you work with them.
Now remember, Catholic Charities is one of the NGOs, resettlement agencies, that was caught trafficking children during the Biden administration. So this should, and Lutheran churches was on that resettlement agency list as well. And they were I recently saw them in the news. So this is widespread.
You know, the history of the Roman Catholic Church is just one of perversion, not just of with children, but having entire brothels, making nuns prostitutes, all these kinds of things that have been documented through history. And then especially in the 20th and 21st century, we've heard it here. We had it was in Pennsylvania. We had the cops were looking out for hundreds of priests who were dealing with children, molesting children. And we know there are thousands of reports across the world that the Pope is supposed to have been dealing with. Of course, he's not dealing with it because he had his own stuff years ago down in South America, I think it was, deal with the dealing of children. What have you seen? And I know it isn't just in the Roman Catholic Church. I know there's some Protestant churches where there's some perversion going on. And if people find that hard to believe, just read 2 Peter chapter 2, where you see the false teachers. They're after money. They're after sexual favors. And so I know it's not just that. What do you see as far as churches? Do you see a regularity of business with churches and CPS in the state, or is that kind of a little more difficult to discover?
It's hard to discover because they are so well concealed. There have been instances in the news of trafficking through churches. This is a real, very, very real situation that happened to me. One day I was in the field and there was two young men and another gentleman sitting there. And actually they were talking about building a church or starting a church. But this church was solely going to be started for some kind of criminal activity. And so, one of the guys was saying, I grew up in church, so I would know how to preach. The man said, don't worry we will take care of all the suits. Give us what kind of a car you want to drive. He said, not too flashy because it may give us away. And so here were two guys and another gentleman discussing setting up a church for some kind of money laundering, drug trafficking that was going to take place. And that was the first time that my eyes began to be open to the fact that, churches are involved. And it was gradually after that I began to see in the news so-called pastors that were being charged for trafficking children through the churches. And so, as I said, child trafficking is a very interconnected, interagency organization. No organization is exempt from trafficking children. It's a network that runs through businesses, it runs through industries, not just nationally, but also globally. When I worked at Children's Catholic Guardian, I wasn't there for a full year because the individual, Janetta Rhodes, who I called is the top of the pyramid chain of the child trafficking in New York City. This is a lady who put out the hits on me. This is a lady who calls the agency to tell them who I am. This is the lady who strategized how to have me forced out without too much suspicion to blow their cover. This is a lady who tells them how to sabotage my work. This is a lady who the IT department, technology, the computer department gives my password to have access to my progress notes, to be able to pull notes and anything that was criminal. She was the one who gave all the orders of how I should be handled. And so when I went to Catholic Guardian, as soon as she found out where I was, then she started her operation. And so because of her actions and the strategies that was taking place, that was a cue to me and a red flag to say, indeed, this was also an operation where children were being trafficked. And so one of the things that she was able to do is to have payroll not even pay me for 5 pay period to force me out. And so it was after that I finally decided, it was time for me to move on from Catholic Guardian. But it is widely known that the Pope is not who he claims to be.
Sure, he's an Antichrist.
Child sacrifice have been taking place right there in the Vatican, in the basement of the Vatican, for hundreds of years.
And praise the Lord. And thank God for men like Kevin and Annette who have brought the new Pope to justice.
For centuries, nuns have had babies, and those babies were satanically, ritually sacrificed. So this is something that is prevalent. There is a young lady that one of the organizations that I worked with, and something that I posted, often on my social media platform. And she reached out to me and she said, Anne, I was one of those children that was sacrificed. My mother left me with my father. They wanted me. They bring charges of mental illness against my father. At the age of 3 years old, I was brought into a foster care system where I was raped repeatedly. She said, I remember 4-year-old, 5, 6, 7. And she spoke to many organizations. I believe she's even been to Congress. She said, I was raped. At night, they would come and they would wake us up and they would take us outside. And there were all these people in black robes in a circle, and they would chant, and they had candles, and we would all go in a room and we would be repeatedly raped. And she said this went on from the age of when I was 3 years old up until the age of 8-year-old. And then I was transitioned. They tried to transition me into prostitution. And so eventually as a teen, she was able to run away, but not without them constantly pursuing her. And so she was the one who encouraged me to really begin to go on these platforms. So this is very real. It is in the foster care system. There is no separation whatsoever between the child trafficking individuals of the church, child welfare, the hospitals, the FBI, police department, Department of Justice, and everyone on the tiers of even to the Attorney General is very, very aware of this. The inspector generals that are supposed to investigate these cases are very, very aware of it. I sat with them for 3 hours. I told them what was going on. I told them, what my experience is. They never followed up. They never called me. And when I called them, I never got a response. Same thing with the FBI. I followed up with them. They never called me back. They never returned calls. And this is what Tim Taylor said in his interview with you. If you call into the FBI and said, I have information of a kidnapping, they're ready to jump on it. But if you say it's CPS, then they back off and they go cold.
Yeah.
Depending on your state, your agency might not be called CPS, might have another name. We're going to refer to it as CPS for now. So I'm going to go over Section 2 with this CPS handbook. The social worker at your door, 10 helpful hints. Number 1, always get the business card of the social worker. This way, when you call your attorney or Homeschool Legal Defense Association, if you were a member, the attorney will be able to contact the social worker on your behalf. If the situation is hostile, HSLDA members should immediately call our office and hand the phone out the door so an HSLDA lawyer can talk to the social worker. We have a 24-hour emergency number. I would be really reluctant to put the phone out the door, though. That's why a 2-way audio Ring doorbell would be better. That way you can just hold it up to that and they could hear you from outside. I would not open the door under any circumstances. Number 2, find out the allegations. Do not fall for the frequently used tactic of the social worker who would tell the unsuspecting victim that they can only give you the allegations after they have come into your home and spoken to your child separately. You generally have the right to know the allegations without allowing them in your home. And we saw in that previous video the CPS worker lying, and as well how cops are totally corrupt and they will break the law for these CPS agents. Number 3, never let the social worker in your house without a warrant or court order. All the cases that you have heard about where children are snatched from the home usually involve families waiving their Fourth Amendment right to be free from searches and seizures by agreeing to allow the social worker to come inside the home. A warrant requires probable cause, which does not include an anonymous tip or a mere suspicion. This is guaranteed under the Fourth Amendment of the U.S. Constitution as interpreted by the courts. In extremely rare situations, police may enter a home without a warrant if there are exigent circumstances. However, in some instances, social workers or police threaten to use force to come into a home. If you encounter a situation which escalates to this level, record the conversation if at all possible. But be sure to inform the police officer or social worker that you are doing this. I know in my state, it's illegal to record somebody without their permission. You can actually get sued for that. And same goes for them. If they call you, I would not say anything. I would just direct them to your attorney. And I would also tell them that you do not consent to being recorded. Always say that you do not consent to being recorded, even if they're outside, because they might be recording you from outside. If entry is going to be made under duress, you should say and do the following. I am closing my front door, but it is unlocked. I will not physically prevent you from entering, and I will not physically resist you in any way, but you do not have my permission to enter. If you open my door and enter, you do so without my consent, and I will seek legal action for an illegal entry. Number 4, never let the social worker talk to your children alone without a court order. On nearly every other incident concerning our members, HSLDA has been able to keep the social worker away from the children. And they will lure your children into saying things that may not be true. Law enforcement does this as well. On a few occasions, social workers have been allowed to talk with children, particularly where severe allegations are involved. In these instances, an attorney chosen by the parent has been present. At other times, HSLDA had children stand by the door and greet the social worker, but not be subject to any questioning. And I would not even allow that. I would keep your child away from the door at all costs. keep your child away. Number 5, tell the official that you will call back after you speak with your attorney. Call your attorney or HSLDA if you are a member. Number 6, ignore intimidations. Normally, social workers are trained to bluff. They will routinely threaten to acquire a court order, knowing full well that there is no evidence on which to secure an order. In 98% of the contacts that HSLDA handles, the threats turn out to be bluffs. However, it is always important to secure an attorney in these matters, since there are occasions where social workers are able to obtain a court order with flimsy evidence. HSLDA members should call our office in such situations. Again, there are corrupt cops and there are corrupt judges. Number 7, offer to give the officials the following supporting evidence. You can go ahead and read that if you'd like. Number 8, bring a tape recorder and or witnesses to any subsequent meeting. Oftentimes, HSLDA will arrange a meeting between the social worker and our member family after preparing the parents on what to discuss and what not to discuss. The discussion at the meeting should be limited to the specific allegations, and you should avoid telling them about past events beyond what they know. Usually anonymous tips are all they have to go on, which is not sufficient to take someone to court. What you give them can and will be used against you. So again, keep your mouth shut. 9, inform your church and put the investigation on your prayer chain. Over and over again, HSLDA has seen God deliver homeschoolers from this scary scenario. Number 10, avoid potential situations that could lead to a child welfare investigation. Conduct public relations with your immediate neighbors and acquaintances regarding the legality and success of homeschooling. Do not spank children in public. Do not spank someone else's child unless they are close Christian friends, which I've never even heard of any of my Christian friends spanking their kids or letting anybody else spank their kids for that matter. Avoid leaving your child at home alone. In order for a social worker to get a warrant to come and enter a home and interview children separately, he is normally required by both statute and the U.S. Constitution to prove that there is some cause. This is a term that is synonymous with the term probable cause. Probable cause or cause shown is reliable evidence that must be corroborated by other evidence if the tip is anonymous. In other words, an anonymous tip alone and mere suspicion is not enough for a social worker to obtain a warrant. Father, I come before you with a heart full of love and concern for the precious children you have entrusted to this world. Lord, you are the creator and sustainer of all life, and you love these little ones far beyond what we can comprehend. You have called them a blessing and a heritage, and you hold them in the palm of your mighty hand. Father, I lift up every child before you today, those near and far, those known and unknown. I ask for your divine protection over their lives. Shield them from harm, danger, and evil. Surround them with your heavenly angels, that no weapon formed against them shall prosper. Keep them safe from accidents, illness, violence, and any form of abuse. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. Heavenly Father, I come before you feeling vulnerable and exposed. I see the malice of those who set themselves against me, and I ask for your supernatural protection. I pray that you would build a hedge of protection around me, my family, and all that you have given me. Let it be a spiritual wall, so high that no enemy can climb over it, so deep they cannot tunnel under it, and so thick they cannot break through it. Lord, command your holy angels to stand guard over me. Shield my mind from fear and confusion, my heart from despair, and my spirit from every attack. Let anyone who comes against me be met not by me, but by the power of the Holy Spirit. Blind their eyes to my path, confuse their plans, and let their efforts fall to ruin. I choose to dwell in your secret place, under the shadow of your wings. You are my refuge and my fortress, my God, in whom I trust. Let those who seek my downfall find that they are fighting against you, and let them be turned back in shame. Cover me and my children, Lord, with your mighty hand, so that I may walk in peace and safety, fully confident in your power to save and deliver. Keep me secure from all hidden dangers and evil intentions. In Jesus' name, amen.